PR Connections Radio presents
Since 1978, National Youth Advocate Program has provided cost-effective, community-based services and support to children, youth, and families. To the philosophy we have embraced since our very start, that the primary focus must be holistically placed on preserving and unifying families and strengthening the communities they call home.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Trenton Briscoe, and welcome to the Briscoe Bridge to Foster Care in Nevada. It's proudly sponsored by the National Youth Advocate Program. Thank you to them. Before we get started, let's just say I am not an expert. I don't claim to be one. Every state has different rules and processes. So when it comes to foster care, so if you're interested, look at that local agency and figure out get the most accurate information. This podcast exists simply to bridge the gap. Whether you're curious, interested in fostering, or just want to learn more about the system, this is in place to have that open conversation and hear real stories. So today, I'm excited to introduce my guest. I like her, PJ PureJoy Belanger. PJ is an ordained chaplain, a certified activist, a best-selling author.
It's great to be here.
And honestly, that's just scratching the surface, because PJ, go ahead and tell us more about you that I didn't mention, because I know there's so much more. PJ, can you hear me? All right, so we must be having an issue. PJ can now not hear me?
It's important to share.
All right. All right, so PJ, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Well, as you stated, I am PJ, PureJoy Belanger, and PureJoy because I use joy as a superpower myself, and I help others do the same. I'm a community ambassador, certified activist, certified mentor. I am a nutritionist by trade. I've been teaching natural healing disease prevention for 42 years, and I help people overcome sickness and disease all naturally, and as well as emotional and mental health as well.
Nice. So why did I bring you on this show, PJ?
Well, I grew up in foster care for 11 and a half years myself. And I have a vision to help young adults aging out of foster care, agape wholeness homes, where we help them feel whole by getting them focused on their true purpose and passion right away as young adults before it takes them, 2 decades to figure out who they are.
Okay, so you're talking about like the independent living program, children, you catch them then, and then you carry them off into the adulthood?
Yes, we're thinking, 16 to 22 is the age range where they generally are, ready to be out of the foster care system, and they're trying to figure out who they are. They're trying to figure out what their purpose in life is. A lot of them don't even know that their lives were intended, which is the big realization that I had to come to, that my life was intended, and so are theirs. So if they're 16 or they're 20 or they're 22 and they're focused on developing their purpose and their passion, then they're going to have better outcomes. And when we have better outcomes with these people, we help the state as well by lowering the humanitarian risks. Anything from, human trafficking, prostitution, unwanted pregnancies, abortions, domestic violence, homelessness, you name a myriad of issues and problems that they might or could have, alcoholism, addiction. There's so many things that we could keep them out of as we're giving them the foundation for their future. So fostering intended futures is my motto. Fostering intended futures.
You know, PJ, what you're saying is resonate with me a little bit. Before I started fostering, I did some stuff in my college, and I learned a lot of different things about the program, about foster care. But one of the things I was doing was I had to do research on prisons, and I learned a lot about prison. And when I learned this stat, now this is 10, 12, 20 years ago, I couldn't believe this stat. And then this stat is never left me. But back then, 70% of our foster care system ages 18 to 20. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 70% of our jail system ages 18 to 25 males are from foster care.
Right.
So having heard that stat, and who knows what the number is today, I believe like an independent living program is the most important, because these kids start to, when they're about to age out, they all want to run away. They're all just like, I'm done with this system. They don't want the help because they're tired of being in the system, and they need that extra support, and they need to know why it's important. I just got word yesterday that one of my kids who I had for about 9 months is in prison for 5 years.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's unfortunate, but I mean, if you look at the stats, it's not shocking,
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Well, in Nevada, we have the wonderful program called Hope for Prisoners, which reduces recidivism by like 73%, a very high rate of these individuals who get mentors and who get support. They do not repeat offend. They don't go back. So the program is being offered now in jail systems, from what I believe. So perhaps if there's a way to get in touch with them, ask them to apply to Hope for Prisoners.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll give them a focus.
And let's just be clear. Let's just be clear for the viewers who don't understand foster care, right? I don't want people to automatically just think that all the kids that we have come to your house are going to end up in prison or whatever. That's not,
right.
This is just a case by case. Remember, I had 42 kids come through my house. Only one that I heard went to prison. So let's just be clear. Don't. I mean, there might be more, but let's just be clear on that. Not everybody. They're all still just kids. They need us so that they don't end up falling down the wrong path. And they usually do that between the ages of 18 to 25 because they don't have family. They don't have people around them. They need that extra support. They need someone to guide them. They need a father figure, a mother figure. And that's why I'm doing this, so we can find more people. But PJ, let's go backwards a little bit. We're talking about right now, but what I want to talk about with you a little bit is, can you give me, what were the years that you were in foster care? Like, how old were you? What age were you in foster care?
Well, from what I understand, from what I've been told, I was in and out of foster homes as a baby. But the one I remember was I was put in at 5 years old, and I was there until I ran away at 15. And I met my real mother and then ran away from her right after my 16th birthday. And in those 11 and a half years that I was in that home, 52 different children had come and gone.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And that's not, was it a group home or was it just a foster home?
It was, we had 6 kids at any given time. So there was several of us that she took custody of as legal guardians. That's why we were in her home for so long. And then after the legal guardianship, that she also, there was 4 or 5 of us that were in custody as guardian, as our legal guardians. And then she still had openings for other kids that would come in and come and go.
Right. And let's talk about that, because again, viewers are listening and they're thinking, what, 52 kids coming through my house? Again, you don't have to, it still happens today. I had 42 kids come through my house in 7 years, so it can happen. However, I chose those kids. I chose the kids that nobody wanted. I chose the kids that kept running away. So in your case, you never know. your foster home could have just chose the short-term kids that nobody wanted because they didn't want. Nobody wants short-term kids. They want long-term because they don't want to have to let them go.
Right.
And maybe she was the one or he was the one. And that's, I kind of did that too. I took kids for sometimes 2 months at a time, 2 weeks at a time.
Right.
So it varies. And you can pick and choose what you want to do. You could say, hey, I just want long-term kids. I just want short-term kids. I just want this age group. I will say that I keep your age groups open because keeping siblings together in the system is very important. And I know that when you say no to teenagers, you might get a teenage girl who has younger brothers and sisters, and her coming with you would actually just be a benefit. So keep that in mind. If you want to foster, you can open your hearts to all ages. It's we don't just drop off kids to your house. Say, oh, you're a foster home now. You got to take them.
Right.
But you cannot sit there and be like, I want blonde hair, blue eyes that plays tennis. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work that way.
No.
So
What's really ironic is there was the 5 of us that grew up together that they took legal guardianship of. Then while I was a teenager, a couple years before I ran away, they got a baby who was a black boy who's my brother to this day. So
wow.
they chose him as a baby, and they got legal guardianship of him as well. So there was they were legal guardians to 6 children that they had long term.
Wow.
Yes.
So one of the main objective of this show, and again, this is why I asked you this question. Now I'm going to ask you another question. Can you go back to when you were 5, 6 years old? And I want you to really try to dig deep. I want you to tell me how you felt. What was going on in your head when you finally kind of remember stuff? And I'm not asking you to say what happened to you negatively. I'm just saying, being in the system as a child and those adults that had to take care of you, what kind of emotions did you have?
Well, it was such an interesting time, and you talk about the negative things that they didn't happen until they got legal guardianship of me. But the few years, but from 5 to 9, I was just a foster child, and I remember my real mother trying to come visit me, and I was so afraid of her, I would run and hide, and that's how I ended up being put up for legal, adoption. Actually, I was at LA Hospital, Children's Hospital, meeting couples to be adopted. And my foster parents said, no, let's just go ahead and take legal guardianship of her so she won't be displaced again. So from 5 to 9, I remember being afraid and scared and not knowing who my parents were or if I had any parents. I still to this day have never met my real father. So, and my mother was so abusive and that I just was a scared little girl. I had a really hard time being happy. I had a really hard time, knowing that I was loved. There was no real love for, as far as I knew, So it's a very scary time for a child that age. Very scary.
And when was it when you finally felt love?
As an adult. I had not found love until I really had my relationship with the Lord. To this day, my only true love has been the Lord.
So
no parent love, no other people I've ever felt truly loved me.
So I'm sorry to hear that, and I love it. So let me tell you.
And I love me now too. That's why I want to help people, is because the very first vision I have for these young people is we help the state of Nevada not have to euthanize dogs. Because dogs will be unconditional love for them. And that's why my ministry, that's why my vision is agape, unconditional love. A dog is the closest thing we have to God's unconditional love. That's why they're God spelled backwards.
Yeah.
I agree. So these young people, if we get them dogs that they can train, that they can love, that will be reciprocating love back to them, they're automatically going to be in a loving relationship right off the bat. That's number 1 on my priority list. And not only is it a reciprocal love relationship, but it's building responsibility for something else as well. So we're building 2 sides of their psyche. Their emotional and mental psyche is getting empowered to the nth degree just from raising and training dogs, that will be emotional support animals, but that also there can be dogs that are trained as our property security. So
Yep.
that's an endeavor all in itself that's going to explode these young people's living intentionally, living with a purpose, having a passion, because they're automatically going to see that their life is important to something else.
Well, PJ, I think we've had a discussion before. We were brought together for a reason. I also have another friend who has Agape, but has a different name, but it's Agape. And she has land, and her
Stacy. Yes. I know Stacy.
Okay, Stacy. So Stacy.
Mayon. Yeah, Mayon.
So,
Yes.
so the idea is that we all need to come together and make this land for kids. I told you I have my concept for land. I had an animal rescue, and I had a campground and baseball fields, and so they can have baseball tournaments. The kids can work at those tournaments, and they can help take care of the rescue animals, so they can learn love. And then we have some old senior citizens that are like big brother, big sister, and they need that extra attention at their age, and can learn from them as well. So it's all one full circle. Yeah, and you came into my life. I thought, wow, we're on the same page here. Now we have to figure out how to get the money. Anybody out there got some money? Let's go.
Yes. Yes, we can do entrepreneurial training. We can. I have a vision. I wrote a program called Civil Heroes, which Captain Jack Martin, who used to be the head of our juvenile justice department, he read it and he wanted to be pushed through the court system. And he's not there anymore, and I haven't quite gotten to the place where I have it completely ready. But that's a great program where we train these young people to be mentors, and we give them a certification so they feel recognized and acknowledged, and the importance of their lives to teach civility to even younger kids. So the seniors can be mentors to our young adults aging out, who can be mentors to tweenies, 12 to 15-year-olds. It's a chain reaction all the way up through the community. So it's a full circle, because seniors need something to keep themselves busy, to give them purpose for their lives. And these young people need to know that their lives are important right away, right off the bat. It's a wonderful thing. And I'm so glad that we did meet, because it gives me a great vision and a great heart for the vision that I've been given, so to know that I'm already engaged. We're all age, and collaboration is going to be.
Yeah, I have to say that I have been trying to do this all my life, and it's crazy how many people I've been meeting over the last year who all align with what I'm doing. Like, what are the chances? And it just, to me, is saying that God is sending the right people to me. Usually I'm the one that has to do everything, and it's great to find someone that has the passion and wants to do it too.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of time. We just got to piece it together, stand strong, and go for it. But let's go back a little bit again. We're going to keep going on to some things that I'm trying to keep this show. You're my second episode, and I'm trying to keep it in a kind of a rhythm of learning about the system a little bit. So let me ask you, this is very important for viewers who are thinking about becoming a foster home. What kind of parents, or what advice would you give to someone who wants to become a foster home, and what kind of parent would you like to see, or would you have liked to have in your life?
Well, the need is for people who are loving and kind, that can be firm and kind, because rulership without relationship is tyranny. And that's what's happening with so many children, is they're getting tyrannical parents, or parents that don't have any, they're too overly kind and overly nice and don't have the firmness. It has to be firm and kind. firm and kind together. So it's people who are healthy themselves, people who are emotionally and mentally able to be a stable environment for these children. So if you have a heart for kids and you know that you can be firm and kind, you're needed. You're needed. We need you. These children need you. So we need people who to step up that have a place in their home, that have a place in their heart, that can be a source for training these kids to be healthy themselves, that they don't have to grow up with PTSD and rage and all these emotional and mental problems that these kids have that either get them in trouble or they can't have healthy relationships. We can help them have healthy relationships by showing them what a healthy relationship is. Relating to one another in kindness, but having healthy boundaries. So those are the parents that are needed. Those are the couples that are needed. I do believe that children need, kind of a man and a woman. I really believe that couples are the best environment for children. And if those parents, those couples have a healthy relationship with one another, that's going to be a great example for these children.
Yeah, I agree. But I will say, though, unfortunately, there's not a lot of that out there today. So we will take quality people no matter what.
Yes, single parents are awesome if they have a stable emotional, mental, physical, financial life that has boundaries and kindness, firmness and kindness. Absolutely. A single parent with firmness and kindness is better than no parent.
And I think what people need to understand is this is different than just taking in any kid. And this is what I try to explain to them is these kids come from nothing. They weren't taught how to feel. They weren't taught how to love. They weren't taught anything.
Right.
So you have to give them grace. You can't just automatically think that you're gonna listen to me because I'm tough. It doesn't work that way. I mean, I used to think that because I could be tough. I'm a coach. And then when I got my kids, I started realizing that this is going to be a battle that I can't win.
Right.
You have to learn how to nurture and reprimand and yet still give them a voice. So I teach people that you have to learn how to do positive manipulation.
Yes.
And what I always did was this is a simple thing. PJ, would you like to go to Taco Bell, Burger King, or McDonald's? PJ, what's your answer?
Well, none of the above.
You can't say none of the above.
Okay. Yeah. They would have to be Burger King.
Okay. Just make it. Okay. So she says Burger King. Okay, maybe I should.
Burgers are grilled.
All right. So the idea I'm trying to do here.
Options. Get them
I'm
to
going to give you options, but guess what? You get to pick one of those options, and now we're going to where you picked.
Yes.
But did you pick that? I chose the three options. The
Right.
kids don't see it that way. They just feel like empowered.
Yes.
Out of the bag. But that's the idea. If you tell a child, especially from foster care, I call the ones that have been in the system and they know how to work it. I don't want to say what I call them, but they're like foster brats, right?
Yeah.
They know the system, they know how to milk it, and they will walk all over you because they know how. They've done it already. So you really have to be firm. You have to learn how to take control.
Absolutely.
But then buy in with them. Show them you love them. Like, show them you care. And continue consistently show them, and they will buy into what you're doing. It might take a couple of weeks. Your kids may not like you at first. Stop and think about it. If you were taken from your home, you lose your parents, you lose your animals if you had them, you lose your neighbor that you see every day, you lose your teacher, you lose the mailman that used to say hi to you every morning that made you feel great. These are the little kids, that's all they had.
You know what else they lose? You know what else they lose, Trenton? Their identity. I mean, their very identity. They don't know who they are. And so the best type of parenting is one that helps them know that they are capable of thinking and capable of making decisions and capable of seeing that who they really are. Like even my own grandkids, I say, is that who you are? I don't think that's who you are. See, even as a grandparent now, I raised 2 daughters and I've mentored many of their friends that call me mom and their babies call me Nana. Okay. And I have learned that punishment and discipline are 2 totally different things. You want your kids to end up in jail, punish them. If you want your kids to have good, healthy lives, discipline them. It's different. So it's not expect and retaliate. That's not parenting. No. It's direct, correct, redirect. Direct, right. Correct, redirect. That's parenting. And so that's PJ, healthy parenting.
So PJ, when do you want to become a foster parent? I got this. Let's go.
You know what? I'm overcoming still so much in my own life, Trenton, that I'm not at a place where I don't even have a place of my own right now. Mm. So I'm still working on my own stability at 62 years old.
Okay.
So I don't even have a home for myself right now, but I would love to, that's why I mentor. That's why I adopt all my daughter's friends and their babies, because I go help run a daycare so that I can help raise babies and help mentor and help be Nana. I have 10 grandkids. So that's where I'm raising. I raised my 14-year-old grandson. I was his everything for his first 5 years. You know, his mom went to work and I was his 24/7. I was his go-to for everything. So I dedicated a lot of years to my daughters and their kids. And now I'm trying to focus on getting my life back to, you know, being about my stability. Right. So yes, I you know, I want to open the center. That way I have a place to call home myself as I'm helping them see that they have a place for their identity to be built up, for their passions to be built up, for them to, it's taken me my whole life to figure out who I am.
Right.
My whole life. They don't, let's not have that for them.
You know, you bringing up that identity thing, it made me kind of go back to when I was fostering. And one of the things that I did, and I realized how important it was after, because the kids will tell me stuff, but I would always tell them, like, look, when you come into my house, you're now a Briscoe brother, because, you know, Trenton Briscoe. And I didn't realize how I felt like I was being kind of like, oh, it's about me, you know. But really, it was about bringing them together as a family. And I used to have them sit in a circle, and I said, look, Briscoe brothers talk to each other. We communicate how we feel. And it got to the point where I was doing something, and they started their own circle. And I was like, wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and these are a bunch of teenage boys, you know. And I have to say, I wrote a scene in a film about this. And I remember shooting this scene. It was for a pilot for a TV show that I made about fostering. And I didn't have it written in. I wrote it in the night before because it hit me that this is perfect for this scene. And I remember I made them sit around a hot tub. A fire pit. It was a big old fire pit next to a hot tub. And they all had this communication. And these are all actors, right? I hired actors. And I was laying down so the camera couldn't see me, and I was bawling.
Oh,
because it was real. It was so real. And they were all sharing about themselves and why they're in foster care. And I remember that happening in my house many times. And I think that family, that feel of having each other, like all my kids, I remember there was a kid in my house that didn't really walk with the other kids. He was not the same type of kid. And they were all like sneakerheads and tough kids. And this one kid just didn't fit in. At home, they hated him. They didn't want nothing to do with him. And then at school, they wanted nothing to do with him. But as soon as they saw someone messing with him at school, they went up to him and said, "You don't mess with my brother." Oh. And I was like, yes. Now, I'm not saying, you know, to beat him up or anything. No. But it just felt good. They felt like they had a family.
Right.
You know?
So there's 3 things that I can really honestly say: belonging, being heard, and feeling supported. Those are what really give a foundation for these children to have an opportunity to figure out who they are.
You're dead on.
their identity,
Yeah.
their true,
Yeah.
they're who their true self is.
If you can give them that, and as soon as they feel like they have that, they feel empowered and they feel like they're a part of something, and they buy into what you're doing. I think the main thing is consistency. These kids, especially the kids who've been in and out of the system all their lives, if you show them consistency and they know that you don't have to do all this, and you do it and you consistently do it, it's like, wow, this guy's for real. Like this parent is for real. They're really doing this for me. Even though they'll still run away when they're older, they do it because that's just what they're used to, some of them. So, but PJ, we could go all day. I know that we started a little bit late, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Do you have anything you'd like to say one last time before I do our sign off?
I just want to reiterate that we need to open a facility, a ranch, if you will, with resources, training, and opportunities for these kids to put themselves in a position to be loved and give love and be responsible and grow food and take care of animals and learn entrepreneurial skills and read books and, like you said, get into circles and talk with one another and belong and get to a place where they are developing empowerment for themselves and those around them. So Agape Wholeness Homes is a great prospect to do this. So we need seed money, we need a property. So that's the biggest thing I want to put out there, is that if there's anybody who knows of a property where we could train dogs and train young adults, let's get in touch with us.
Yeah, I agree. And that's something I'm always looking forward to as well. One thing about me is I'm always doing other things, trying to make films. I'm focusing on all that. And eventually, if somebody doesn't bring me the money, I'll make it myself. And that's the idea that I have and always have had. I'm a little shocked I haven't made it yet, but that's what's in the cards for now. And I'm going to continue moving forward no matter what. So
I ask the community to help us foster intended futures. That's what's needed. And it helps the whole community. It's not just about these kids. These kids are the future community leaders.
Right.
They're a community leader, and I didn't even know who I was 20 years ago.
Right.
And
right.
I'm a community leader.
So we need foster homes. We need people. We need you to come in and help make us some more leaders. We need you to help make more leaders. All right, that's our time.
I'll show up. I'll be there.
That's our time. Big thank you to PJ for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Trenton.
Thank you. All right. Remember, the Briscoe Bridge to Foster Care in Nevada is here to help you learn, answer questions, and hopefully inspire some of you to take the next step. If you're interested in learning more about the foster care system or becoming a foster home, you can always reach out. There's my phone number in the chat here or on my screen. Reach out, text me if you'd like. And don't forget, also, every Thursday, I host an informational brunch at Union Biscuit. It's behind IKEA from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you're curious or have questions, you want to break bread with me, come on out. I'll break some bread. We'll talk. We'll get to know each other, and we'll figure out if this is something for you or if you want to help make something just for us to continue our growth. Also, coming up, the Knights of the Round Table Business Mixer. That is something put on also by myself and NIAP. It is June 26th, 6 to 8 p.m. It's at the Beach House in Henderson. Please come out, check that out. It's free. Come eat some food, network. PJ might be there. And at the end of the day, fostering changes lives, not just for the kids, but also for you as well. These kids will teach you things you'll never, ever have expected. And I feel like if you're called to this, I'm here to help you move forward. And I would love to help you change your life. Until the next time, stay safe, stay open, and stay inspired.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.